are now looking at a 2025 Mahindra XUV 3CP, no wait, XV3, bloody hell, this is like taking an eye test. Mahindra XUV 3XO? Right, and if our research is correct, this color is called citrine yellow, and our AX7L test vehicle is at the very top of the new range. Other things you should know is that this is obviously a replacement for the semi-successful XUV 300, which most of us enjoyed driving as long as we didn't focus on dashboard ergonomics too long. This 3XO specimen has improved ever so slightly in that regard, but unfortunately capitulated to today's trending fad of throwing every imaginable gadget or driver aid at a car until it convinces enough people to buy it. With hasty apologies to Mahindra or any AX7L fans, we immediately noticed that this teeny tiny little city SUV has gone a few driver aids too far. Sure, it's great to have active lane guidance, but the steering intervention is not only deeply unnerving, it's also in dire need of further fettling with lane, verge and traffic recognition. Translation: it won't take long for this little Indian number to notice that you're about to cross a solid white line and gently tug the wheel back in the other direction, whereupon you need to make a rapid decision to either fight the system or barrel into the stranded cyclist, parked vehicle or careless pedestrian you were trying to avoid in the first place. No. Every single one of our test drivers said that their appreciation of this golden little pavement hopper improved drastically once they culled most of the automated driver or safety aids. Ditto for the start-stop system, which mostly gets the second bit right, but often forgets the initial part of that equation, to restart the engine. But it's not all terrible news. Someone frowned at the car's leisurely cornering abilities, but those are due to a wonderfully forgiving suspension and generous ground clearance of 201 millimeters, which means that you and your Paxies get to enjoy very acceptable ride comfort, plus you can happily bomb around the badly rutted roads of Cape Agulhas, hypothetically speaking. On the way there, we were semi-impressed by the car's feather-light steering but decent highway manners, no thanks to the efforts of a jolly energetic 1.2-litre turbo petrol 3-cylinder engine, pumping out just 82 kilowatts, but a rather impressive 200 Newton-meters of torque. Power delivery is a tad lumpy, which is completely normal for a 3-pot turbo, but the amazing torque is at full boost from 1500 to 3500 RPM. In other words, right where you need it. This automatic model has 6 fairly well-stacked gears, shifts okay, and helps the car to a claimed average fuel use of just 5.6 litres per 100 kilometers from the 42-litre tank. As always, our average was about 2 litres higher. Mahindra doesn't publish performance figures, but we do. Our best 0 to 100 time was a rather leisurely 11.58 seconds, with the quarter mile falling in exactly 18 seconds. I hasten to add that this little torque monster feels much brawnier though, in the real world. Oh, and a single brake test from 100 km an hour took 3.12 seconds and 40.51 meters. Despite sitting on snazzy 17-inch wheels, the tyres have a substantial 55% sidewall, and there's a Mari Biscuit temporary spare wheel under the boot floor. Vlogging of which, another fear this 4-meter-long vehicle quickly dismissed was that it's tiny and silly and only has enough room for 2.3 people, without luggage. Wrong. Although we were 2.3 up in this car for the weekend, we took 2.3 people's luggage, and then some. How about a kiddie's bicycle? Or some big old cool bags? Never mind our luggage, which was buried somewhere under that bedding or the laptops. Thanks to 60-40 split folding rear seats, all of this just fit into the 3XO. What else? Oh yes, the tailgate release button is quite thin and difficult to find the first few times. Plus, the cargo area has a removable cover, but no dangly strings to join it to the rear tailgate. Have I mentioned all the cool little design touches yet? Look at those rear light clusters, the twisted alloys or swooping city SUV cladding. It's enough to make my clean sister dive for cover. Look at all those angles at the front, and the pretend grille flanked by a bizarre set of headlights. It's amazing. Although Gappa didn't want this car in his sunset shot. Right, as for the luxurious interior, The black pleather is neatly trimmed with contrast stitching, complemented by a few silver accents and a swoopy dashboard panel which has, how should I describe this? Cascading yet fading diamond-shaped dimples? While we're down here, on the dashboard, sitting just above the fairly intuitive climate control, is a thin row of buttons inherited from ancestor XUV 300. And just like in that preceding model, one of the buttons does not button. There, second from the left. I think it shows you the passenger airbag status. Press the far right one for drive mode, and you are presented with a proper modern-day problem. You see, Mahindra has fitted this vehicle with 3 distinct drivetrain response modes, but instead of going with the accepted normal, eco and sport, they decided to call them zip, zap and zoom. Which one's which? Google is your friend. To quickly touch on the touch screen and digital gauge cluster, the 10.2-inch infotainment system is not bad. Ditto for the Harman Kardon audio system. This media system isn't the most intuitive device we've ever commanded, nor is it lightning fast, but it gets most modern media demands right, and has a big volume knob and permanent physical row of buttons. Well done, Mahindra. More buttons can be found on the adjustable steering wheel, behind which you'll find a very snazzy gauge cluster with comprehensive trip and vehicle information. None of us enjoy the torchlight effect, where only a relevant part of the gauge is lit up, because why would you obscure the rest of a dial or a clock? It makes no sense. And here's an XL7A7 feature we'll let you be the judge of. Cyclist detection camera when indicating. And here's another row of buttons that don't button. Right. In an effort to start summing up, quite a bit of what you've just seen is reserved for the top-spec AX7L automatic model, whose price currently hovers around 405,000 Rand. Start hopping down the range and you'll drop specs, yes, also some annoying ones, in 30,000 Rand increments, until you reach the entry-level model at 260k. Our recommendation would be a bottom-middle automatic, or top-middle manual, if that makes any sense. Much like Zip, Zap and Zoom, 3XCX3PO, gauges withholding information from you, and buttons that don't button. Despite all that, we strongly suggest you give this new Mahindra a whirl if you're shopping for a stubby crossover with great features and a punchy engine. Thanks so much for watching.